what would you say to somebody who's considering coming to Australia and they're like, oh, I don't know, should I not? What would you say?
Why aren't you here already? You know, I said to myself, why didn't I come 10 years earlier?
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Oh, we are all looking for adventure.
Hi, Wessel. Thank you so much for joining me today on From the Horse's Mouth. How are you going?
Good news, CHAMONIX.
I am very well, thank you. It is lovely to finally have you on the podcast. We've been talking about you coming and sharing your story for a while. Please tell our viewers, how long have you been living this dream in Australia?
So yeah, so I'm going on my 5 years. In fact, it was my 5 years anniversary, just in January this year. Yeah, I came over just with the bags, my hands, and the clothes on my back. A little bit of clothes in my 2 bags that I had. Sold everything that I had in South Africa. Was running my own business at that time in the recruitment industry. And yeah, arrived in Sydney, all alone. Was still married then. So my wife and I decided for me to just go and, start a journey here and see how things are going. So a little bit like deer in headlights, arrived in Sydney, a big city. I remember the first day getting into the train to go to Parramatta to my job, where I got a sponsorship at a recruitment company as a consultant. And I thought I arrived in the wrong country, because there was a lot of Asian people on the trains, and I thought I was in Japan or was somewhere in China. But it was very interesting. The first day of train, and then I arrived at the office, and then it was funny. There was there was other South Africans there. There was a girl from Cape Town, a girl from Durban, another girl from Johannesburg, a Zimbabwean. So, and I never knew about this. So it seems like the guy was employing South Africans and Africans, because I don't know, maybe we cheap labor for him. That's another.
In Australia.
Yeah, that's another story. But you know what? I'm thankful that he gave me a sponsorship. 6 months down the line, him and I we just didn't get along, and I was still grappling with leaving my country, leaving my wife, not seeing my son, because I have a son from my first marriage. I'm very close to my mom and my dad and my brothers, and so I don't think I was myself the first 6 months, and then so I lost my job. 6 months into Australia, I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to go back to South Africa? And I just, sold everything. I just cannot go back. And my mom even said to me, you cannot go back. What are you going to do now? So in fact, I was staying with a South African girl and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's from Tasmania, and they lived in Canberra. And they said to me, they know this guy, the Villiers Higo, that runs a recruitment company in Canberra, will employ me. Why don't I give him a call? Maybe he's looking for somebody, or maybe he can give you a work, because I only had 60 days to get another sponsorship. Otherwise, I had to leave the country. So I was quite desperate. So in fact, I phoned him up and had a nice chat with him. We talked Afrikaans, and he said to me, can we meet this afternoon at 2:00? I'm in Sydney, and we met for a coffee. And he said to me, wow, it's amazing that, everything just happened like, it happened for a reason. I'm looking for somebody to run my Sydney offices for me. But I'm not a good judge of character. Can you go see my brother, Peter, next week in Canberra? And then just run through, our process and stuff like that, and see if you would fit in here. And in fact, after that week, Peter sat down with me and he said, you know what, we want to give you a chance, but we don't know if you're going to make it, because it's quite tough in our industry. So let's see how it goes. So they took my sponsorship over, and I just knuckled down, and here I'm sitting 5 years later, and I'm still working for the same company, still working for De Villiers and Peter. In fact, we've not just have the deployment company, we've got YG, which is our our demolitions and a refurbishment company. And we also got a building company now called Newcastle Building Solutions. So I'm the business operations manager for all three of those companies. Yeah, and you know, we just enjoy working together, and you know, we've gone so far. We've gone through COVID. There was a time when we thought we were going to close down the company or we're going to have to downsize, but we made it through it. And yeah, so you know, now I'm up in Newcastle because I moved here for my wife's job that she got. But I think, you know, what's the most important thing for me, you know, after I think you come from South Africa and you have this victim mentality, and you get here and you still have the scars of load shedding and the scars of not living you know, a safe life, and you can't go out at night and you have to lock your doors and the infrastructure doesn't work, and you cannot just jump on a train, you can't just jump into an Uber because you don't know if the Uber driver wants to attack you, you know. So I think those things were so ingrained into me. But here I had a country that all these things were just free and the opportunities were here. And, you know, and I just made the best of it. And I just worked really, really hard. And I had to learn new things. You know, I'm turning 50 next year. So yeah, I became a permanent resident, you know. In fact, we applied for my permanent residency after I turned 45. So I was still sitting here worried that I'm still will have to go back to South Africa, because there was no ways that I was going to go back to South Africa. And then yeah, I got my PR, and you know, I've just had to learn a lot of new things. You know, I've been in sales my whole life. You know, recruitment, had my own company for 3 years in South Africa before I came over. But, you know, just coming to Australia and seeing, you know, my directors, they left South Africa when they were like 11 and 14 years old. They went to go live in New Zealand. And then they left New Zealand, and then de Villiers, he came first to Canberra. And you know, you just see these opportunities in South African people that make it in Australia. So you know, and I'm just so thankful. You know, I built my first house in my life ever, and it's in Australia with my wife. So yeah, so my wife is not a South African; she's a Kiwi. So I got married to an All Black. So we got very interesting times when it comes to rugby in our household, when the two of them are, you know, I'm just in a meeting. You know, so rugby is a very exciting time for us and stuff like that. And we just can't, you know, complain about the beauty of Australia, the beauty of Newcastle. You know, we've just built this house. Moved in there in December with her. She's got 4 kids from her previous marriage. 3 of them are living with us. And yeah, I'm just so positive for the future. My brother, in fact, is arriving on the 6th of March. And he's going to be working for us. So yeah, we're excited to welcome him to us, our team, and bring him and his family over. You know, we're organizing a South African braai on the 11th of March here in Newcastle. We've already got about 100 people that's going to be coming. So yeah, are you going to be
braaiing? Are you doing the barbie?
Yes. So you know, in fact, with my new house, you know, I've got a building braai. So the Australians that were involved in the building of my house, they were like, mate, this is quite an impressive barbecue. I'm like, yeah, well, first, it's not a barbecue, it's a braai. Secondly, we don't use things like gas, because even the plumber, he was like, wow, where do I connect the gas for you here? Are you going to put a gas bottle? And then I said, no, mate, this works with wood. You know, I said
natural gas,
natural gas, wood and charcoal. And then, you know, and so they love, so like, just before I moved into the house, I said to him, I'm going to make you guys some, a bride. It's like, oh, can you get that boerewors that you guys eat? Because I just love that boerewors, Sorry, CHAMONIX. Yes, man. Yeah, just kidding. Thanks. Yeah, and so they just love, coming to a braai with us, because we work quite closely with the Australian builder. Name is Mitch and Zoran, and they're just great guys, But we mingle with a lot of South Africans here, and it's just, we're trying to get a lot of South Africans over now. Of course, we're in employment. We're also trying to get some South Africans to come over. That's already gone through the whole immigration journey and placing with some of our clients and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'm just overwhelmed that in such a short time in my life, at my age, that I was at a stage in my life in South Africa where I sometimes didn't want to live anymore. When I came to Australia, I could easily, if things didn't work out, put a gun to my head. I'm totally, honest with you, the way I felt. And I think a combination.
Why was that? Do you think that was, safety or lack of opportunities, or what made you feel that way?
I think it's, at my age, so I dropped out of university. I didn't complete my degree. I went and met my wife in my second year in university at the old Rutgers University. She was already working. She was a legal secretary. So yeah, I ran after love and forgot about studying. I tried to study on, but those were the days when you could still work hard and make your way. So because I had a flair for sales, I went into sales and I just worked really, really hard. And I grew very quickly. I was working for Absa Bank at a young age of 26. I became one of Absa Bank's youngest sales managers. And so, so things was just, was the opportunities out there was for me. And I just kept on working my way up. But then I made a few wrong decisions in my life, and I did go through retrenchments, and then, a few more wrong decisions in my life. And I ended up, there was times where I didn't have work. Being a white male, not qualified, I just struggled to get back into a management position, and I always had to take a step back, and I wanted to be in sales management. I didn't want to always be the person that's chasing the targets and, have that targets, pushing all the targets behind you and stuff like that. I'm not motivated by money. It's funny, because you say that in a sales interview and people say to you, what motivates you? And you say to them, family life motivates me, and I like to give my family. So money never motivated me. So maybe I was good in sales. I'm good in relationship management. I still do relationship management now where I am, but I'm not a cold caller. I'm more of a farmer when it comes to sales, stuff like that. I like to interact with people and talk to people and, give good customer service like that. But yeah, I just came to a stage in my life where I just struggled. Everything was just a struggle in South Africa. And yeah, it was a combination of feeling unsafe, losing my marriage, not be able to provide for my family. So I started my own business just before I came to Australia, and it went well in the beginning. I really did. I did better than I thought I was going to do. And but unfortunately, Black empowerment just stumped me. I had to. A lot of my clients said, "You need to bring Black empowerment into your company." I said, "Oh no, it's fine. I'll bring Black empowerment into my not a problem." But then I said, "No, you need Black ownership." And I just, I had a lot of friends out there. I've chatted with one of my friends. I said to him, "Does he want to become a partner in my company? I'm happy to pay 51% shares of my company, and just coming." And he was like, "No, I'm not ready for it." So it was difficult for me to go out there and find somebody that just give 51% away from my company just to power. So I said to my wife, "You know what? I can either do one or two things. I can just not do business with companies that needs that, but we're not gonna probably have what we have now. Or I can take the money that I have now, sell my cars. You know, we didn't have a house at that time because we sold the house before that. Yeah, that's one of the things. I lost my previous house because of retrenchments and stuff like that. And I can just, you know, come to Australia and start a new life here. But then through that whole process, I lost my marriage. I didn't have a, you know, I didn't have a relationship with my son. You know, I was away from my family, away from my mom, my dad, and my brother. I came here all alone, and then working for my current company employing me. I was working all alone in Sydney. I didn't have an office. I didn't have anybody that I could chat to on a daily basis. So it was really, really difficult, and mentally I was not well. You know, I went to a psychologist. He put me on antidepressants and stuff like that. But there was a time where I thought to myself, I really cannot make it here. I don't understand sometimes why life matters anymore. Mm. And then a year later, my mom died. And I met my current wife, who almost married for 3 years. I met her just before my mom died. And she's a registered nurse, and she worked in the, you know, in the mental industry. And she like looked at my medication and my stuff like that. And she said to me, you know what, I can help you. And you know what, Sue has been my rock. Apart from my mom, she's been my rock in my life. And even if you talk to my manager now or to my director now, that they see that I'm a different person now. In the beginning, I was quiet. I didn't talk much. They always used to say to me, "You didn't talk much when we were around."
I can't imagine a people that doesn't talk much.
Yeah, and they say to me now they have to stop me and talk, and I'm just so outgoing. But that's how I've always been. And then there was this time in my life, probably 5 to 6 years in my life, where I just became depressed and quiet. And you know, and I think, you know, my you know, Div and Peter believed in me somehow. I don't know if they believed in me because I'm South African and I know our South Africans, we survive, but they kind of believed in me, you know. And Peter says to me sometimes, he said, "I didn't think you were going to make it. But you know, now I know I'm valuable to them." And you know, yes, we still make mistakes, we learn, we still get upset with each other, but you know, we've got common goals and we bribe together, and we're friends. You know, we know what's going on in each other's lives. I lived at his property for 2 years, in the shed before I built my house. You know, and I just want to say to anybody out there, you know, I've been talking to my brother before coming here. I said to him, you know, Jurgen, you need to just drop all victim mentality by the time you land here, by the time you get off the plane. You know, people in Australia doesn't worry about what happened with you back in South Africa, but opportunities are here aplenty. You know, we in the employment industry, we struggle here in Newcastle just to get people to do labouring work. And sometimes it's not difficult labouring work. And then we get people work, and then they don't rock up on site in the next morning. David, our manager here, pulls out his hair out of his head because he just wants to have people that want to work. Sydney, we probably have more labourers than we've got work, because a lot of Brazilians, Colombians, and those kind of guys work for us there. But they've got the same kind of hunger. They come out of a third world country and they just want to work. They just want to make money. They just want to live, because earning, you know, like $30 an hour gives them a good life in Australia. Because the cost of living is not that expensive. Yes, the cost of living has gone up now. The interest rates has gone a little bit. You know, we're probably going to go into recession. But I still choose this 100 times over before I go back to South Africa. The only reason why I'll go back to South Africa is if I am retired and I've got enough money and I can go and retire in Cape Town. Because I loved Cape Town. I lived there for 4 years. Everything in Cape Town works. It's run by the DA. You know, and things work. You know, even the trains. I could go into Cape Town CBD, get on the train and go to work every single day. And that's when I came to Australia. You know, trains, buses. There's the streets are clean. I've lost my wallet, where people phone me and said, I picked up your wallet, picked up your cell phone. So many times people have, come up to me and said, your car door is open. My wife said to me, are you still South African? Well, she last night, she said it to me again. She said to me, Wessel, you leave the front door open, not locked. The sliding doors are not locked. I've said, but we don't need to lock our doors. Are you still South African? Because you don't lock your doors anymore. So I'm not scared to lock my doors anymore. I'm not scared to close my gates. I'm not scared. I'm more scared of a snake or a spider biting me, or a wild storm hitting us, than me being hijacked or load shedding. We live off grid where we live at the moment. So I said to my wife, because we just had some problems with our generator. I said to her, we need to get this generator sorted out, because otherwise it's going to feel like we're getting load shedded again, and I don't want that load shedding. We've gone off grid because we don't want to rely on any government electricity, and just live on solar. But it's, your mind, you need to do a whole mind change, on using stuff and, managing your battery capacity and stuff like that. That's quite interesting. But, just where we live out in a little farm, 1 hectare farm community. We've got Angus beef in front of us. We've got a few sheep and little goats and a pig and some chickens laying eggs for us. And we just got this lovely property that we look out in the afternoons, watch the sunset over Sugarloaf, and it's just beautiful, So, and I've done that all in 5 years' time. Yes, there's 2 people that I need to thank today. One is my wife, Sue. She's been an amazing rock, and she's an amazing person, and she does very well for herself. And secondly, my director, De Villiers, he's believed in me. He helped me to build my house. I probably would not have been able to build that house if we weren't the builder. So that saved me a few dollars, because he was going to ask me profit. He was just going to build my house for me at cost. So and then that's great, and
so does the company build houses, generally speaking, or what kind?
Yeah, so we became a registered builder last year. So we've always been partnering with Cutting Edge. Mitch and Zoran and his team. So they always work with us because they had the builder's license, and then we got a builder's license now also. So so we build a house in Madawi. We've just finished a house in Cameron Park now, and then we built my house. Then we built Div's house the year before that. But now we've now got developments where we're going to be building. Our next development is going to be like 5 houses.
Because I know there's a number of housing companies or building construction companies who've gone under in the last few years.
So
the fact that you guys are growing is great.
Yeah, no, so we're on a very much smaller scale, but you've got your bigger ones that are building massive complexes. But like Privium Homes went under. We took over one job from Privium Homes. So the building industry is definitely not the easiest industry to get into, but we got into it at a time where there was a dip through COVID and stuff like that. But we've got our other companies running. We've got close to 200 employees work for us. We've got an office in Canberra, we've got an office in Sydney, and an office in here in Newcastle. So that at the end of the day, employing me makes good money for us there. We've got YG, our demolitions company, where we do some demolitions, asbestos removal and stuff like that. And we do some refurbishments, around Newcastle area. Yeah, the building has now born. My boss he's an entrepreneur. His dad is an entrepreneur in South Africa. He's from Wellington, from the Cape, so he's a Cape Townian boy. And they're just good people. I just love working for them. I can't see myself working for anybody else. And working for South Africans, we all think the same. Like our sales manager in Newcastle is South African. We used to have an office manager who was South African, but she left us. But then we've got Pete and his wife that works for us, you know, in Canberra. And yeah, we've got a few South African clients that we work with, some project managers. And yeah, you know, we've even got some guys working for us on a temporary basis that are South African. So yeah, we're just trying to, you know, just build a little South Africa here for us out here in Newcastle. We said to Div, you know, one day he's going to become the mayor of Newcastle, you know, and build like a little empire here. You know, and it's been great, you know, starting in Sydney and now staying in Newcastle. You know, I would say to anybody out there, forget about Melbourne and the big cities. You know, you're in the Gold Coast. You know, forget about the big city. You know, try to find a you know, a more rural or a rural residential area. You know, because there's so much work out there. And you know, and take the plunge. You know, go for it. You know, I talk to a lot of South Africans back in South Africa, and they say, "Oh, can you find somebody to get me a sponsorship?" You know, it's not that easy. But if you're already here and then you're looking for work, you know, get in touch with us, because we've got clients we can talk to, and we can headhunt, we can market you out there.
So give us a few occupations that you definitely want to employ people into at the moment.
Yeah, so we're big in the construction, manufacturing, and warehousing. So yeah, we're always looking for construction managers, civil engineers, electrical engineers. Even you know, electricians and plumbers are a little bit difficult because they have to go through the better sets first. If they've done all that, then it's easy, because carpenters, plumbers, electricians we're definitely looking for those kind of guys. And then, you know, down in the warehouses, always looking for forklift drivers. You know, we're looking for diesel mechanics and stuff like that. But you know, if you've got an engineering degree, you know, in South Africa, and you want to come to Australia, and you've gone through the whole process of PR or whatever, or got working, they hit us up, and we can help your wife. You know, the guy might be an engineer, his wife might be an admin person, or she might be an HR person. You know, we can even try to find them job. And if your kids are 16 years old or more, and your kids want to start work, we can get them into labouring works, you know, and admin jobs and stuff like that. You know,
yeah, that's great.
What they want to do.
Yeah. Wessel, what visa did you come on to Australia?
I came over on it was a skills visa, a recruitment consultant.
457?
Sure, I can't remember. Was it a 182?
So it was permanent residence straight away? You came with
no. Sorry, no. I wasn't permanent resident straight away, so I had to. So I was here for about 2.5 years, and then I applied for PR, and then I got my PR.
And you had no problems being over 45 when you applied for PR, you said?
So so I had to work in Gosford. I had to work and live in Gosford. In fact, I had to only work in Gosford. I didn't have to live in Gosford. So we had a little satellite office. So I used to commute from Sydney to Gosford and just work out of that office. So I had to, in that, like, I think it was a year or two, I can't remember. And then it's an hour out of Sydney, and it's an hour out of Newcastle.
Okay.
But then Newcastle became a rural area. So when I moved to Newcastle, the immigration, it's fine. I can work in Newcastle. So yeah,
I just have to stop you here, because Newcastle, for our viewers who don't know, Newcastle is definitely not. If I hear rural, I think about sort of, you know, maybe 5 houses in a town in the middle of nowhere. And it's not like that. Newcastle is a very big place. I come from Secunda, where I grew up, and Newcastle is at least the size of Secunda. It's actually very big, and it's lovely. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, Newcastle is the biggest exporter of coal in the world. The port that we've got here that's the amount of coal that comes into the port of Newcastle is the biggest in the world.
Wow.
So it's a massive, you know, mining town. It was massive. You know, a lot of the mines have BHP Billiton was the biggest one that that pulled out of Newcastle. But you've still got the coal here, and we know with renewables, that's where it's going. We're going to be using less and less coal. But the thing is, there's a lot of, awesome businesses down here, and it still has the mining town feel, and it's got a lot of old history and stuff like that. So yes, it is a lot like maybe, Secunda, because I went to Secunda a lot because Cecil was one of my clients. So I used to go to Secunda quite a bit. So, it is, Newcastle is, but Newcastle is a lovely, lovely, lovely town.
And it's got everything there. Like, you don't need to. Do you ever need to leave Newcastle for something? It's not like, I mean, you've got all the shops there. You've got
So we've got outside Sydney, we've got the highest amount of people that lives outside Sydney is Newcastle. So we've got big shopping centers. We've got a Costco, which a lot of places don't have. And then, so we've got one big sports stadium, McDonald's Station. So the Newcastle Knights play there, NRL, the league there. So we don't get the big cricket games and the big rugby games here. We have to go to Sydney to go and watch the Box play, or go watch cricket at the SCG. But apart from that, we probably don't have an IKEA. Unless I miss meatballs.
Yeah, true. I love IKEA, so that would be one reason for me to travel to Sydney.
Yeah. So what IKEA's got is they've got like a depot here, so you can buy everything online, and then they've got a delivery center here that's not far from us, like 30 minutes, and you can go just pick up the stuff at the depot center.
Awesome. Do they deliver their meatballs as well?
I think you can get it online. Yeah, I don't know.
Meatballs.
They're going to keep it cool. I love their meatballs. Yeah.
What a beautiful story! And tell me a little bit about the 3 children that live with you now. They're Kiwis.
Yeah. So my kids are all Kiwis. We've got a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and then a 17-year-old that lives with us.
And do you buy for them, or do you barbecue?
Yes, so they they call it braai. They call it braai. They call it they call it boerewors.
Good.
And they like, so they love the way that I make the steak. So one of them likes steak well, and the other one is like me and Sue. We like our steaks medium. So I have to just make the steak, but they love the way that I do it, put on the music, put on the TV, and we just make the fire. So, and the fire keeps on going the whole time, and then I would transfer the fire down to the smaller fire, so we have like a fireplace. So they just love it. They know Friday night is braai night. They already start asking me what am I going to make. They love the way that I make the millies. They also call it millies. And garlic bread, and my potato salad is quite a hit. My peppermint crisp tart is quite a hit with them.
I'm getting very hungry now.
My oldest son, he calls boerewors, he calls them meat sticks, but you get some of that meat sticks from a South African shop. They love cream soda, the green cream soda. They just love that. Always when I go to the shop, I must get some soft drink for them. So they just love that South African tradition. And
what is the thing that you miss the most from South Africa, apart from friends and family, because that is a given? Is there anything physical that you miss?
I thought I was going to miss the weather in Johannesburg, just the thunder rolling and stuff like that. But now with our new property, we can see the thunder rolling in almost all the way from Sydney because it's so clear out. We can almost like see the storms, but there is something about the rain in Johannesburg, that afternoon rainstorm, that I do miss. I think I miss, probably, to get biltong. We've got a place, very nice place here called Newcastle Biltong Company, LCB, the husband runs the place. They've got a beautiful recipe. Their biltong is amazing and stuff like that. But, it's not, biltong is not cheap. It's almost like a luxury. So I think, I miss that. I think the quality of meat is probably better in South Africa. But I have now found some butchers that make some, cut some awesome tomahawk steaks. And, I go to Elsa, go buy my boerewors from her, because she's got a really, really good, recipe. But yeah, I can't see me, probably like Cape Town and the Freedom and probably the Kruger National Park. So I really want to take my wife on a nice safari one day. So, I spoke earlier about me not speaking to my son for a long time. So about a year after, so in fact, after my mom died, I started talking to my son, because it seems like it was my ex-wife that was stopping me from, talking to him. So yeah, my son and I are talking to each other again. We have, we talk on a weekly basis, which is great. And he wants to make a trip down to Australia to come and see. So he's 20. So yeah, and his mom said, if he wants to come and live with me, she'll totally understand it. I've had my dad over here 2 years ago. Unfortunately, my dad passed away only about 3 weeks ago. That's still fresh in my mind. So yeah, I think my parents are both looking down from heaven, and they're very proud of me, what I've achieved, and that I've got a relationship with my son again, and then I'm happily married to a beautiful wife and a beautiful Kiwi, and I've got four beautiful step-children, that just enjoys life, and I'm just great. Yeah. So yeah, so rugby, like I said, rugby is interesting. I run a Facebook group called Box Supporters in Australia, about 1,500 members there. So I ran the group, and my wife just says, she thought the All Blacks are passionate about rugby, but we take the cake. And I was very quiet. I don't scream or get excited. And then with the World Cup, I think it was the quarterfinals, we played against Japan. It was a close game, and I got so excited and I screamed. And the kids came into our room and said, "What the hell's going on?" And she says, "Don't worry, Wessel is just getting excited because of the rugby, because the Springboks are playing." So that's the only time that I get really, really animated, and I get really, really excited and really, really passionate when the Boks run out, because I think that's what I miss. I miss rugby. I miss cricket. I can't see myself supporting the Australian cricket team after the whole sandpapers saga. Steve Smith and David Warner are still in the teams. I know David Warner's come back now because he's injured. Don't like the two guys. If you want a cheap, always a cheap kind of thing for me. The Australian rugby team, I think they're going to struggle, because I think AFL and league is so big in Australia. And I've started enjoying league and AFL. I love the AFL. I think it's an amazing game.
Yeah. Have you watched it live yet?
Yes, I've watched it live. So my housemates were Tasmanians, so they introduced me to league and introduced me to AFL. They took me to a lot of games. So I became a Sydney Swan fan. I was going to be at Buddy's game where he kicked 1,000 goals, and I couldn't go because my wife was sick. I was going to go through to Sydney, and then my friends were there, and then Buddy kicked his 1,000 goal, and everybody stormed the SCG. So I've got another friend, Ken Nankerfish, and he and his wife was there. They're South African. He said, Wessel, it was the most amazing experience, goosebumps, tears, to see the people run onto the ground. So yeah, I love the atmosphere of the Australian sports. And because I'm a little bit sports mad, and I think that's why I get along with my wife so well, because she loves the sport as well. So we watch a lot of sport. The kids say, the kids don't do any sport. They're a little bit nerdy, they online with their online games and board games and stuff like that, so they don't. But
they still have good taste in food.
They've got good taste in food. I don't care that they are nerdy. I know they're gonna find their place on, and my son plays volleyball now. I don't want my son to play rugby, because rugby has become, if you don't go to gym and playing hard, it's a dangerous sport, So I think the guys that do go play rugby, they need to look after themselves, and things like concussion and stuff like that. So yeah, but I enjoyed. You can see, in our office we've got the World Cup 1995 there. There's a shirt from the Brumbies. That's my director, Div. He played for the Brumbies. He played sevens for them. So he also plays for the South African Rhinos. He plays some league. He's a little bit old now, but we won't tell him that he's old, We won't show him this video on YouTube. So yeah, it's quite a lot of fun.
Last question for you. What would you say to somebody who's considering coming to Australia and they're like, oh, I don't know, should I not? What would you say?
Why aren't you here already? I said to myself, why didn't I come 10 years earlier? Because it's just an amazing country. There's so many opportunities here. I still talk Afrikaans every single day. Yes, I'm lucky because my boss is Afrikaans, but I surround myself with other Afrikaans people. I'm trying to teach my stepchildren Afrikaans, my wife Afrikaans. But get on that plane, doesn't matter. Sell everything in South Africa. Don't worry about putting things on a container. Don't, I know there's people, some people want to bring their pets, and it's like they eat your pets. If you've got the money, bring them, because that's going to give you comfort to have your dogs or your cats or those kind of things here. But I know it's difficult to leave family on the other side. But, my mom and dad are both not. It's 5 years later. My mom and dad didn't tell me, because my mom and dad pushed me. They said to me, even if we have to help you financially, we'll help you. They did. And my one brother also. And, I paid my mom back within 2 years. I paid my mom every cent back. And then I started supporting them from this. Because when you start seeing dollars, you realize that you have a decent living in the country. And I came on a minimum wage, but I still had lots of disposable cash, probably because I was single. Now being married and having children, they're expensive. But you know what? Take that leap of faith. Come. You're not going to be sorry. Yes, you're going to miss a lot of things, but try to surround yourself with stuff that reminds you of South Africa. Put South African music on your playlist. If it's Polytones or it's Bobby van Jelsveld or Steve Hofmeyer or whoever, Prime Circle, whichever makes you think of South Africa. Even if you just listen to Toto and that reminds you of South Africa, do that. I try to surround myself with South African things all the time. That's why I started the Box Supporters Group, because when I go to Sydney and the Box are playing here, I walk in there, I feel like a celebrity sometimes, because everybody's like, Wessel from the Box Supporters Group, want to take selfies with me and photos with me, and that's sweet. I don't feel like a celebrity, but we go and we've got 200 or 300 other South Africans with all of our jerseys on, and we just go lekker, come on, Bokke, and the players come right to the front to talk to us. We like Faf, and then Faf goes, hey, you like more, and he like talks to us. We can, and afterwards Sia Police came up to us, we got signatures, we got selfies from them, and you can see these guys are so thankful that we support them in Australia. But don't be scared. If you are a hard worker, and you believe in yourself, you've got nothing to lose. You will just reap the rewards in this country, because the way that Australia is the way that we remembered South Africa always. South Africa is an amazing country. We've got a lot of problems. The government that's in charge at the moment, that unfortunately they've enriched themselves. There's more poor people now in South Africa and the gap is just like that. Everybody struggles here in the middle and poverty, and it's sad. When we work with laborers, I sometimes want to take a plane, put a whole lot of laborers of South Africa in the plane and bring them here. They would these people have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get a taxi from their shack, get to a building site. And these people in Australia complain because they have to be on site at 7 o'clock and they've got a car that drives. So I think that's our South Africans. We know how to survive. We know how to push through, recession, everything is against us. you know, and I just wish I can just take South Africa like this, put it in a box and just bring it to Australia and say, let's start all over. And the politicians, if they want to ruin the country, ruin it, you know, and if we got blackout and load shedding, and it's, you know, it is like that.
No, please don't ruin Australia. I'm not moving again.
No, we don't want to ruin Australia. Australia is beautiful, you know. So yeah, so no,
Yeah,
you know, I've spoken, and I do it on it, you know, so after we've posted a few things on Facebook, so I've had a lot of people messaging me personally and say, you know, oh, I'm so scared to come over. And I'm like saying, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Yes, it is. It's big. It's, you know, you come here and you just got off the plane, and Sydney is big, and Melbourne is big, and Perth is massive, you know. But if you go to Perth, there's 200,000 South Africans in Perth. Now go to Perth, Fontaine, because it's going to be so many people that you're going to bump into that are South Africans. It's going to make it feel easy. That's why we're organizing this braai. We've been talking about it for a long time, because we want these South Africans to feel a little bit of South Africa. Come camp and we braai, we chat about the old days, and we have Brandewyn and Coke, you know, and you know, and just, you know, just reminisce about it. But yeah, yes, we're in another country now, but you know, guys, you know, you can build a future for you. You can build a future for your kids. If you're back in South Africa and you can't get here, send your kids here. Give your kids an opportunity then to make it.
Plan ahead with their education. Think about what possible occupations can come into Australia, and make your kids decide whether they perhaps don't want to study one of those occupations, so that they can apply to come to Australia after their studies. So yeah, just a little bit of planning.
I remember when I was working, the first company that I worked for, so we had such a diverse South African group, because it was me, white male. The girl from Durban was a white female. Then we had a colored girl and a colored guy that was from Cape Town. And then we had one girl that came from Johannesburg, black girl. And then we had some girl from Zimbabwe, Samantha. So we were just, and I said to Vanolia, the black girl, I said to her, you know, I came to Australia because I felt like as a white man, I didn't have opportunity in South Africa. Why did you come to Australia? He's like, I'm educated. He says, I don't vote for the ANC government. She says, I just see everything, all the infrastructure falling over around me. I want to give my children a future. Why must I sit back in South Africa and to see all these things fall over? You know, we are becoming the next Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And like then Samantha, and she said, well, you guys saw what happened with Mugabe in Zimbabwe. That's why I am here. That's why I'm in Australia, because I want to have a better life. That's all. We're all human beings. Doesn't matter what color we are. We just want to have a good life for us and our families and our kids and our future generations, you know?
That's right. And everybody deserves a fair life, yeah, and freedom and opportunity.
That's right. You know, immigration is not cheap. You know, immigration to Australia is not cheap. You know, there's other places you can go to, Canada and, you know, America. There's a lot of places you can go to. But, you know, if you've got the money, or you can lend the money, you know, you've got family that can help you out. You know, like in my case, my mom helped me out a lot. And I said, Mom, I promise to pay you back in cent. And I paid my mom back so quickly. And then I was in a situation where my mom passed away. My dad had to move into a frail care because of his emphysema. I could put my dad in a very nice place in South Africa, but I could afford it. Because, you know, because of the exchange rate, you know, and it was a lot of money, but the thing is, I could do that for my dad, and I could give my dad a quality life until the day that he blew out his last, you know, breath. You know, and those are the things that people need to look at. You know, so yeah, just jump on that plane, just, you know, put on your earphones, enjoy the long journey, and a stopover in Abu Dhabi or Dubai. And just come here, you will not be sorry.
Oh, love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Wessel.
It's a pleasure.
It's just lovely to hear. As I said, I can't imagine a vessel that was quiet, or a vessel that was not as, you're just beaming. You're just so, it's just so naturally coming out of you. So I'm so glad to hear that Sue, and thank you, Sue, for what you've done for Wessel, has been able to help you change that around so that you can also see Australia for what it is and all the opportunities that we have here. I hope we can catch up with you soon again. And yeah, again, your story will be inspiring so many others to come. So thanks, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Shamini.
Take care, Wessel. Goodbye.